roll call 219 here. And the other night on Rants and Raves, last night, I should say, we in Night Strike talked about the Texas massacre at this point. A lot of things have come out since then, and it's only been a few days. One of the most disturbing things out of everything that's been coming out is the falsification that the sheriff's department down there has been laying out in terms of timeline of what occurred on that hideous day. It touches a lot of us in gun culture, not only for gun rights, but a lot of us are mothers and fathers of children, and it's unspeakable with the tragedy that happened. But one of the most egregious things that I've seen is the timeline the sheriff's department down there has put out at the beginning, which turned out to be totally false. A lot of inaccurate statements, a lot of bit of just basic lying to the populace. This is a problem, and this is a problem that we've seen before on a number of occasions, whether it be Parkland, whether it be in Buffalo, and in other circumstances like in New York. There's been a lot of misconstrued facts that have been put out there by government officials and law enforcement, and it's disturbing. We in gun culture believe that we are our own first responders. As the saying goes, when seconds count, police are minutes away. That's a saying in gun culture and gun community in a whole. And I believe that to a certain degree. What's even more disturbing is the allegations of the resource officer engaging this piece of trash before he got into the school. Another spot we'll touch on is how he got in there in the first place. So the timeline that they tried to share at one point was the suspect shot his mother and then took the car and crashed it into the ditch next to the school. A lot of this stuff is from eyewitness accounts. And one of the guys lives right next door to the school. So now you see why I'm saying this is a travesty on the sheriff's department as a whole. There's eyewitnesses that are watching this go down. And then when these sheriffs and these police officers come out there and sing a different tune, it doesn't resonate well with the community, especially the people that saw this go down. So the police's, fake story was that the resource officer engaged this scumbag. The scumbag retreated into the school. The officers went to the school to, get rid of him, to a sense. Well, all that was false. The kid wrecked his car, started shooting indiscriminately at some other people across the street, shot into the building, and then walked over there and went into the building. And at that point, there's a gap. There's another gap into when cops arrived there on the scene. So then the cops, I guess, at this point, we can't figure out what's real and what's fake. Because everything that's coming out of these people's mouths over there in these local municipalities is them covering their ass, and we've seen that in Parkland for quite some time. Even some of the parents of Parkland are saying this is reminiscent of what happened with them in that tragic day. So the officers go into the building, they're shot at and they're hit, and they retreat out of the building. Another disturbing fact that has come out is as these officers got out of there, they waited for other people to show up. And when these other people showed up, it was about an hour when everybody started to show up. And after an hour, nobody went in there and got this kid. And the kid had, what they're saying again, barricaded himself. They don't know how, they don't know when, they don't know where. Which, how are you going to say that he barricaded himself? There's a lot of falsehoods flying out of these people's mouths. Not only that, the news media isn't helping at all either. Like they never pretty much help in any terms or aspects of situations that arise in the country. So then the sheriff that was speaking, I believe it was today, was talking about how there's no evidence of parents being stopped, this and that and the other thing. Well, unfortunately, the sheriff doesn't understand that it is 2021. We live in the 21st century, and technology is huge in every person's life across the globe. And people have been pouring out their videos onto social media where it shows all these cops bungled up outside the building. Now, the biggest thing they can't figure out is if the scumbag was dead or not. They can't really determine. In one instance, you can hear some of the people saying, he's in there, he's shooting, go in there. Even people pleading for the cops to give them the tools. Other media would say these things get up and walk around and kill people. But give them the tools, whether it be their body armor or their guns, so they can go in there and get their children. Even to, there's a couple of reports where they detained people. And that video is coming out where the parents were trying to get through the blockade of cops. And the cops were almost going to taser these parents and not let them go in there because for some reason. Let me stop the story there, and I'll tell you right now, I'm a parent, and if a cop ever threatened to taser me, shoot me, or do anything, put me in handcuffs, they're going to have two problems. They're going to have the problem outside the school when fists start flying, and they're going to have a problem in the school, especially if my kid dies. They're going to have a double doozy of a problem. Again, the sheriff, well, we don't know if that's true or not. Well, the videos came out there, and there's a cop standing there with his taser out to his side, telling everybody else to step back. So he was willing to tase people at that point. And on the back side of this officer, they were detaining parents. Even to the point where they had handcuffed a lady. Now, this one is, I don't know if this one is true or not, because, again, I've said this in the past on live streams, on other people's chats. When something high profile, regardless of what is, goes into the media, it gets chewed up and spit back out. It gets lost in the weeds, especially the truth. The truth gets lost, and then every direction ensues about who said this and what happened there, and so on and so forth. So apparently they detained this lady. They uncuffed her. She ended up getting around the police blockade, jumping the fence of the school, going in there and retrieving her kids. Now, whether that's true or not, I would like to see this lady, if it is true, come out there and speak on the matter and really hash this out. Another really alarming report that kind of takes that story aside is when certain police officers showed up there, they went into the school and grabbed their own children and brought them out to safety. I'm going to tell you right now, it's already been determined that the cops aren't there to serve and protect. That was already adjudicated in the courts a long time ago. The saying that we do in gun culture, that you are your first responder, when seconds matter, we can't depend on the cops that are minutes away. That is true, and this is a prime example of it. It's ongoing that these cops sat out there while that guy was still alive, while he was probably shooting people, because they found about 7 or 8 magazines, plus a duffel bag or something, full of some other rounds that weren't expended. Now, I don't know if these are 30-round magazines, but if you're talking about 7 or 8 mags, you're talking close to about 200 rounds, somewhere in there. But again, the stuff is so jumbled and so chewed up and spit back at us that we can't really determine what is going on now. Even the sheriff's departments down there are lying and trying to cover their asses. Because I'm going to tell you right now, if I was a parent down there, I would go through a short grieving process to bury my child and to comfort my family, and I would sue that whole county. Not only the school officials, but the mayor's office and these police departments. Because they have totally lied and they have totally misinformationed this whole story to the point where now they don't know what to say because they have been caught in lie after lie after lie. And this is what I tell you about police officers. Now, I know quite a few police officers. Of course, I voted in our recent elections for these people to run coming up in November. And I'm going to tell you, I'm not really satisfied with police officers throughout my tenure as a young adult, all the way up to this point where I'm here. Not only that, sitting behind a gun counter and being lectured by numerous public officials that carry a badge and call themselves policemen and calling me names and threatening me and everything else. That doesn't bode well for my confidence in law enforcement. And I ask cops out there, how thin do you want that thin blue line to be? Because at this point, I see you as a problem in society. And I see a lot of you guys out there being a problem in society. Now, again, I do know some people that work in jail systems and are police officers on the streets. And I get the fact. And I don't quite shift them to that narrative of where I'm trying to explain. But I will tell you this. If you're going to side with these cowards like the folks down in Parkland, because if you haven't noticed, the sheriff down or the chief of police down there was fired, but guess what? He went back into another job a couple of counties away, and now he leads probably that cowersome bunch as well. And this is the vicious cycle of policing. Is when things happen to these police officers, they just go to another town, they go to another county, they go to another state, and they again do their oath and take a badge, and they become corrupt, and they become just pieces of junk that just suck the life out of taxpayers' money. Again, I think a lot of these guys that are sitting on that podium like that sheriff now down there in Texas and the people around them, they should all be fired. And you should take their wages and their funds and put them towards more locked doors. And maybe more resource officers, because you didn't have one in that school. Every time I drop off my son at school, guess who I park in back of? The resource officer. Guess what? Those doors are locked until a certain point in time, but guess where the resource officer is? He's by the door. You see what I'm saying here? The anti-crowd focuses so much on an inanimate object being a firearm that they don't focus on certain things called safety and safety precautions. We do safety precautions at work, which there's trigger locks on all the guns. That way somebody can't put a round in the gun and shoot me or shoot innocents into the store. You know, it's called safety precautions. And a lot of the anti-gun people, they don't believe in safety precautions. The only precaution they believe in is taking away your rights to defend yourself on the merit of some crazy person's action who already, again, Another term I've coined is hit the snooze button when this kid started posting wild, radical sayings on Facebook about shooting a school, didn't know which one, and shooting his grandmother, which he did in the process. And no one did anything. Everybody hit the snooze button. Nobody talked to this kid. Nobody interacted with him. Nobody went to his house, as far as I know. And what's even going to be more damning, if they did go to his house on numerous occasions and talk to him, and he still did this. Like some of the other scumbags that have impeded on people's lives and destroyed them in this form or fashion. This is the problem that I have with you police officers. Your line is getting thinner by the day. You are protecting cowards in your own departments, and you're being a coward yourself by protecting them. And I will never back off police officers, because you are supposed to be dignified and held to a higher standard. Well, when you have your brothers in blue sitting on a podium and outright landishing, lying to a community on false pretenses because you screwed up and you can't own ownership. And what's even the icing on the cake is your governor down there in Texas is saying that how heroic they are. I'm going to tell you right now, these people do not care about you. The police departments, they don't care about you. They'll say whatever they have to say to get a paycheck. Me, I care about my viewers. I care about the people I interact with at my gun counter. I care about the people that come and say hello to me at shows and everything. I care about you people. That's why I give you the advice that I give you. On some other people, they'll tell you it's bad advice. But I'm going to tell you right now, it doesn't look like bad advice when I tell you don't trust police officers. Film them. Make sure you're doing the correct steps so you don't get shot by these people. I mean, I'm not a big fan of complying with these liars, these cheaters, and everything else that comes along with the badge that they've been doing here quite recently, leading up to this moment. If the anti-gunners are so concerned with violence, maybe they should go talk to their local municipalities about all the times that they have brutalized the populace. I mean, I don't know what else to tell my viewership, but you are your own responder. You're the person there that has to make a critical decision, because after these horrible, tragic, god-awful things happen in society, the police come there and what they did was chalk outlines and lie to your face, and then try and take credit where a small portion of credit is due and say, well, we shot the scumbag, so we got him. You know, sort of like what politicians do when they kill some big, I guess, terrorist plotter, as they say. But I highly encourage the people that watch my channel, the people that interact with me, whether it's at trade shows or if you run into me in public, to go buy a firearm, be proficient in that firearm, go take some training classes. I know there's a lot of shit talking about training nowadays, but I'm going to tell you right now, it's good to know tactics and know how to use your firearm compared to, you know, just kind of winging it. I thought the same way at one point, but I started taking training classes, and I'm more proficient at using my firearm because I took the time to learn about my firearm and learn how to function it correctly. That's a great standard. And am I saying you should do it every other day like some people do? I mean, I guess if you want to be like that, but I don't have millions of dollars and thousands of dollars to throw at training on an everyday level. You know, with the prices of ammunition and some prices that I've looked at some of these big YouTubers' courses, I can't be able to flip that on what I get paid now. I guess I should just do what all these other people say and quit the job that I love to go take on another job that I probably won't love just because it gives me a little bit of extra scratch in my pocket. Well, I'll tell you, that's a bunch of bullshit, to be plain and simple. Because I can go out in my backyard and I can do some fundamental drills that help me stay a little bit sharper than the average Joe. And I can't see how these families are not going to be given justification for lawsuits against this police department, the school council, and the mayor's office. These people are absolute, complete morons at this point. If my city or my school had this happen, you better believe if I lost a child that you're probably going to lose your livelihood. And I'm going to do one of the most important things, which is console my family members, bury my child, and then bury you along with it, whether it's politically or fundamentally, until you just have to, like, go live in a forest preserve or something, because you'll never be able to show your face in public light again for the missteps and the outrageous and outlandish responses like this sheriff's department has given this community. This community has gone through something that a lot of us haven't even indulged in life, is losing a child, first of all, and then having a mass killing on their hands. Now, I live 60 miles from Chicago, and I can tell you, as me and my son, as we drive to school to drop him off, we listen to the radio every day. And every day in Chicago, this stuff happens. So you're looking at 19 kids die and a couple of adults. Well, that's a good weekend in Chicago. I don't know how it is in other places like California, New York, Maryland, and Ohio, and some other places, because I don't live there, but I live pretty close to Chicago, and I can get their news lickety split like that. It's kind of hard to do it with these other states that I've mentioned. But I will tell you one thing. If I can say anything to parents out there, is hug your kids, love your kids, pay attention to your kids. Listen to them, listen to their frustrations, help them build upon being an adult and being a better person in society. Because this is the trend I'm seeing with these kids that act out in this fashion, in this violent manner, is they are treated like garbage from their parents, from their grandparents, and from society and school as a whole, and their classmates. This is an ongoing theme. The anti-gunners like to say these guns go over there and they tap these poor kids on the shoulder and they say, all right, let's go to the school. That's not how that works. It works with community first, and then or I should say, it works with the family unit, works with the community, and then things snowball out of control, and these kids need help. This is going to be devastating for those folks down there in Texas. I feel your pain to a certain extent, because I've never lost a child, but I've had a child, one of my kids, sit in my arms and cry for a good bit of a 45 minutes to an hour on certain occasions, because he was treated poorly by other human beings, other kids as well. So I can feel your pain on that level, but I'll never feel your pain on the level that these people are feeling now. Again, I reach out to you guys and I say, at this point, like I say, this stuff gets chewed out, it gets lost in the weeds, and then you're not going to really know, even after, this is just two days after this horrible tragedy, and now this fiasco ensues, because every news channel is showing clips of another news channel and then trying to justify putting some of this stuff out there in the news media. And this is just the world we live in. And I think we're better is that, well, I know that people that watch this channel and that I interact with in my everyday life are better than these news channels, these politicians, and the David Hoggs of this world. We're better at that, at being a human being and understanding, and no knee-jerk reactions about enslaving the populace due to issues and social issues that could be highly dealt with in a professional manner. I've seen it with my own kids where things have gotten better for them. Was it a tough ride to get to this point in their lives? You damn right it was. And I'm proud that these kids stayed strong. And I think one of the biggest reasons why they stayed strong is because we love them, is because we care about them, and we console them when life hands them a shit sandwich. Because, again, we'll cut it in half and share it together, because that's what family members do. There's a lot of things that are going to be put through this process. I wish a lot of people that have seen and witnessed these horrors come forward and really put these cops on point and really fire them, especially sheriffs, because sheriffs are elected. They're not appointed. So you can take away their job pretty quick. So that's some advice for the families down there in Texas. After I would call it a small grieving, and then start getting the ball rolling. And then when you finally come to your conclusion, and I hope your conclusion is millions of dollars and self-awareness of how you should love your kids, you start closure process to wherever you can get from, because there's always going to be that gaping hole. I'd like to thank all my old and my new subscribers and just the people that zip through. I greatly do appreciate it. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Not only to me, but everybody that you watch on social media. It really helps with the algorithms. And like always, guys, we will catch you on the next one.